Alright, we're back. And we did quite a bit yesterday getting the socket stream handler set up. Got some tests in there. We got a couple of subscriptions we need to take care of. Other than that, this thing's really coming together. One thing that's going to be a problem is when we actually get the handler. What we're doing is there's kind of a design flaw right here so far. Well, kind of an implementation flaw, something like a design flaw, is the data received. We're only handling one action. We could technically get enough data to handle an infinite number of actions, so we want to be able to handle those. So we're gonna spend some more time on this. This is not our first run at this or final run at this, but I'm just gonna add these couple of functions and test them, and then we'll move on and finish this off. So I'm going to just close the others and open up our socket stream handler test. So we're just going to do a couple of quick ones to subscribe to our socket connected, and we actually have to have our unsubscribe, which is really easy to forget. Unsubscribe. Unsubscribe. Okay, so we're going to do this. Unsubscribe. Unsubscribe. There we go. Okay, so should subscribe to connected, and what I'm going to do is going to be on connected, ignore. So this is kind of a weird thing about the code coverage thing, is that this function here is actually tested for code coverage, and so it kind of mucks our numbers a little bit. So I'm just going to do that here just to keep it as clean as possible. But I don't like making like functions to run ignore cover on just because they're easier anonymously. So if we really cared, we could go back and fix it, but we can later. So we're going to do subscribe to connected on connected, and what we're going to do is let's see here. That needs to have that, so it's kind of weird. We're just going to say purity CB count int and CB count plus. And what we need to do is we need to, on our teardown, we need to make sure that CB count gets set back to 0. Okay. And we're back here, so subscribe to connected, unconnected, stream, handler, start. And that'll do it, I believe. I think one thing that we need to do is I thought we had to actually call the callback. Let's take a look here. Subscribe to connected, get sitting connected. Yeah, so we need to actually call the unconnected. So I thought we had that set up, but I guess we didn't. Maybe on the undata received. Yeah, here we go. We need this. We're going to call this the connected callback. Subscribe to connected, and when we start, we're going to call the connected callback, and we're going to call the stream on it, and we're going to assert or equal 1 the callback count. And line 8. What's going on here? Line 8. Oh, second stream handler. Line 8 is the problem here. Oh, I'm going to add our. I guess it was S. There we go. One more thing we need to add is we need to add our object creator. Object creator, oops. And we're going to need our subscriber. There we go. And we could, I guess, to make this simpler, let's think here. If we go and make this the input-output stream on the connected, the downside to this is that I shouldn't really even know about that, but maybe it'll be useful later. So let's go with it. Let's try it. We're gonna just do it. How about that? We're gonna try it. And so this requires a different API here. IOStream. And so run that to, because what we could do with this is actually just talk straight to the connector. Oh, I wonder why that connect or subscribe to connected. And so on 81, what's the problem here? Ah, there it is. Somehow a bit of mistype here. So it should set this up. Now the only problem is the subscribe to connected and the start are sort of competing. So it's going to. Good day. So this one's actually going to be multiple callbacks. So what we need to do is that if connected callback is null. And so that'll not overwrite the current variable we already have. So this should make it happen. There we go. So it does make this somewhat simpler, because now we can do, we only have to deal with one subscriber. Unsubscribe to connected. And then if we call start, and then we unsubscribe to connected for whatever reason, and then we start again, that should do it. Actually won't work because we're mocking it. Because unsubscribing, so we could technically try this. Actually, we could do this. This will work. We'll do this. And then call callback, connected, callback, set that to null, so that it'll actually run through this. We should still only get one. That's a compromise, I suppose. There we go. So there's that. It'll say, oh, it's a null pointer. Oh, because this right here. That won't actually work. I guess it's okay, because we could just say if connected callback is not equal to null, it'll do that. But I don't think it'll actually fail, that's the problem. So, what we could do is we're not going to set this to null, we're going to keep this, and we're going to do this. Unsubscribe to connected. It's on the connector, and this will just set the connected callback to null. That should make things work. Try that. Oops. Just need it to fail, and once we get to fail, we'll make it pass. And no field, unsubscribe. Okay. Unsubscribe to connected. Unsubscribe to connected. There we go. It's just a weird different spelling than I had on two different ones, which is going to be a problem. So let's go back to here. Unsubscribe, unsubscribe. Unsubscribe, unsubscribe. And unsubscribe. Looks like our test failed, so that's good. There we go. So we're going to unsubscribe to connected. So connector, unsubscribe to connected, call back, and there we go. Errors. We have an errors. Null function pointer. Yeah, because that'll be set to null. So we actually need to assert is null connected callback. I'm going to call that done. There we go. So we've got to do the same thing for the close test. Should subscribe to closed. Test should unsubscribe to closed. And we'll just do these together because I really want to get through this and get started on our next function. So here, we're going to say subscribe to closed. Subscribe to close, unsubscribe to close, and we're going to do start, and then end, and is that right? Yeah, end. Okay. Subscribe to closed, closed call back, and we should assert, what's there? Closed cd gets called, and assert are equal one and then it's going to be pretty close to this. And this is going to be the close callback. Subscribe to closed. Unsubscribe to close. And oops, that. Subscribe to close. Unsubscribe to close. It's going to be an end and end. There we go. Now, connector, subscribe to closed, callback, and unsubscribe to closed. I want to change this to errors, no pointer. Subscribe to closed. Okay. So I think it's this. Called start. Let's see what I'm missing yet. Let's make sure it's not the other test real quick. Oh, that's not going to do anything. Let's get to looking at this. We'll double do it. Double dip it. Okay, so that wasn't that one. So unsubscribe to closed. Looks like this is subscribe to closed. Here, we need to make sure that we actually have, so we have our stream that's available. We got to make sure we play with this a bit. And this is still, we have a function, and close won't actually call anything. Oh, that's fine, because, okay. So, unsubscribe to close. Should set this to null. Unsubscribe connector, unsubscribe to closed. Trace args. Let's see here. Okay, so we have our bytes available that we get to play with. And so what we're going to do is we need to, when we get the data received, oh, weird. $169, what's that? Closed CD. We don't need this open anymore. it's weird. Unsubscribe to close. No function pointer. Trace close CD. I'm going to track this down. So anyways, let's look at this. So we need to make sure that when we get our action, we need to check to see if it actually can be fulfilled. And so this is null. And there it is. Oh no, subscribe to closed. On subscribe to close, connector subscribe to close. What? This is bizarre. Oh, because on end this is being set back. That's what it is. So we don't actually need this here. Okay, this makes sense. So closed is basically when it's not initiated, and that will make sense. So we don't want that. Okay, so there we go. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to say, let's go back up here where our data thing we're doing up here to close. Okay, so here, test should ensure that the stream has enough data for reading, for executing action. So what we're going to do is we have this set up. We have a bit of setup to do. So what we're going to need is we have our action. I think we'll just say like ignore cover create a setup action. And this will return a action, IO action, right? Or strategy action? Strategy action. Okay, so what we're going to do is this sets up all of our stuff except our data received and our handler. Okay, let's just get this set up down here. And we need our action, so we're just going to create a class ignore cover. I think that'll do. Class strategy action handler. And it's actually not going to be a class. We're going to do a type def. And when you code with lots of languages, sometimes it's hard to keep track. So we're going to need our action is our strategy action. Our handler is going to be our IO handler, and then our onData callback will be our input output stream void. It's kind of like a strange. Okay, so that's going to return strategy action handler, and we're going to return our action, our handler, which is our handler, and our onData callback data received callback. So we get everything back. So setup action. Where are we at here? Setup action. That'll be our action handler. Strategy action handler. And we need to, we got this in the wrong spot. Action handler action. So look at that. Should have passing test at this point. I know what I'm doing for our handler is 93. So action handler. So that kind of cleared up a bit. There we go. Okay. Excuse me. So now we should say action, basically this here. So to say should not execute action if not enough data is available. Alright, so what we're going to do is going to say stream, or say action handler, action, what's our action? IO handler is going to be total bytes. Returns, we're going to say 16. Then our stream, bytes available, is going to returns 8. Okay. So now we take our this and we verify 0. Now one thing we need to do is we need to set this up here to make this still pass. So that's going to fail eventually. And we're going to say 16. Got it? I hope. Hope I had it. Okay, so we're going to run this. And it has no field total bytes. I think we can do get action strategy. Oh, it's the handler. Come on. Come on. So there we go. There's our fail. And it says it was invoked one time. It should have been invoked 0 times. So here, we're going to say we located our action. In fact, we don't need to do our action yet. So let me put this down. So you can say if handler total bytes is greater than or equal to So yeah, we need to have one more step here that actually like writes the data to the string. So we'll add that. Total bytes is greater than or equal to the stream bytes available. In fact, we're going to say less than. We're just going to return. And so this doesn't happen down here. So here we go. Alright, we have it still was invoked on should not execute. So let's see here. We say trace our handler total bytes. Make sure this is string bytes available. Make sure that this is set up properly. So both returning 0. So out of curiosity, action handler total bytes. See what's going on here. See if that mocking is right. So the mocking is working. So the question is, are we getting the items we think we are? So here, parser get handler should get the handler. Should look, that seems correct. Parser get handler. In fact, we need to probably call this a command lookup because it's no longer a parser. Or handler lookup. So, let's think through this. So here it seems likely it's okay. Get handler. It's hard to know. So on data receiver, here's the problem right there. Okay, so we need to take this out and be able to control that when we need to. There we go. And that's wrong. We already have that. So we actually have an action handler. On data callback. Look at that. Boom. Make sure this is removed from here. Yes. So let's try this. Okay, that looks better. Should not execute if data is not available, not if data is available. So let's look here. So total bytes is 16, bytes available is 8. If total bytes is greater than the bytes available, there we go. That should pass it. Boom. Okay, so now we have it where that will happen. Now we need to do should execute multiple actions if data is available. So we're basically doing this, and we're just going to assume it's the same action every time. We're just going to change the data here. So I'm going to say bytes available is 32, which is not fully the amount, and you'll see why in a minute. So here we're going to make sure that we execute this twice. So here we're going to call this a few times. In fact, I'll call this a bunch of times. Now, these guys here, actually that one's okay. Put these together. So this one's total byte is 16, but really the amount of data that's trying is 16, so 16 instead of -4 or -1, which would be 15. Let's do 20, because it really doesn't matter what this math doesn't actually have to work, just as long as it's more. And we could be receiving data anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Unless I would say 4, and in fact we'll do this 3 times. Actually, no, we don't really want to call the undata handler multiple times. So we're going to chop this off. here. So we only want to call this once. What we're going to do, we're going to call a calls function args. So every single time we call this function, we're going to return a different set of data here. So var callback count, I'm going to call this an int, call this 1, I suppose. So if callback count is 1, we're going to do this. Else if callback count is equal to 2. In fact, we're going to change this to 0 and do callback count plus plus. Alright. And it's still not right, because we need to do, essentially this is going to call itself back. So every time we call the execute, that's the ticker there. So let's finish this off. CB count equals 3. So this is still valid. We're just going to set this up to where action handler action execute cast any, and then calls this function. So now every subsequent call, it'll be different. Got it? Actually, we could probably do this on the parser. Much might be better. Parser get handler. And so the first time it calls it, it'll just sort of set this up. So one more thing we need to do is we need to set this stuff dot reset. Reset. Okay, and let's run it, see what happens. And this will be our final test for the day, and it's a pretty cool one. So what's the this handler? So that's not correct. We actually have to do the parser. So this will fail quite valiantly, and it was invoked 0 times, expected 3. So that's somewhat comforting. I kind of expected at least once, but let's trace this here. Let's do trace action handler total bytes. Or actually, let's do stream bytes available. Let's do that. See if that prints out 3 times, 3 different values. Okay, so here we got 0 prints. I think it's because that should be okay. One thing I think we're missing is this. We're actually missing this part. We actually aren't calling the data callback. So there we go. we got 0. Oh, there's our one invocation, so that's good. Why this didn't trace is a different concern. Okay. So what we need to do is we need to call onDataReceived with our stream again, and it should just happen. And it didn't. Trace on data received. Nothing there. Not sure why. Are you gonna go? Okay. So we got called onDataReceived. It should recurse, and I don't know why yet. Could the handler be null? Shouldn't be. Handler total bytes. Trace parser trace stram. See if we'll get any logging. It might crash before the logging happens, which is sort of a thing. Sys sleep. It don't matter. Okay. Let's see here. If parser with null, return if handler equals to null, return if string equals to null, return. So we gotta make sure this stuff is trace is here. Trace parser, trace the stream. Trace the handler, and let's do it. Huh. Weird. So let's just comment that out. I wonder why this is being weird. On data received, it's just calling itself. So are we resetting the action? No, shouldn't be. Weird. If I comment that out, then it's fine. That doesn't make sense. I hate when that happens. If you do command period, it collapses it. It's frustrating. So it almost seems like it's a Stack Overflow really fast. Can't change that. I wonder if we could get away with parser get. Oh, here it is. We're not returning the handler. That's the problem. There it is. There's that period again. There we go. That's not the correct API. Oh man, that was tricky. So we're gonna return the action handler. Oh, whoa, that was crazy. Okay, so I should do it. Get rid of this stuff. Handler, much more efficient again. So that's still failing. If handler is equal to null, return trace handler is null. So here, the parser get handler, I need to do, what is this hash? Parser reset. See if that'll make a difference. Oh, this is really frustrating. What is going on here? So we set the parser. Trace get handler. Just gonna, that's the keystroke of the day. Command period. So here, getting handler, trace returning. So that is fully correct. So this isn't happening. So why is this causing it to break? We should be able to call a recursive function, but it won't let us. This, on data received. No. Okay, we'll try another function. Operate on data. Stream. Put output stream. Count. And I'm going to do this for a reason. Bear with me, it's weird. Operate on data, stream, 0. Operate on data, stream, 1. If stream sorry, if count equal to 1, return. Now we can control this a little bit better. There we go. So now, put this here. Okay. Invoked 2 times, expected 3. So this looks like it's happening correctly. Oh, it looks like the problem was, it was this function. That was a recursive call. Okay. So, actually I'm going to keep that. No, I'm going to write a test for that first. So here, this will work. Okay, so the problem wasn't the test I was working on. It is this test. Then, so we need to do basically this same thing here. So, because this one returns the full value. So, could do this and returns 16. And that resets. We don't need the callback count. We just need this. So, oh, actually, we do need the callback count, darn it. If is equal to one, $16, no. Geez, okay. 2. Else if cv count. Trying to make this like too simple, and it's just not going to work. Okay, so 16. All right, let's see if that does it. Excuse me. So it still breaks. Is this returning the action handler? Yes. So let's just comment out this test for now and get one of them working. Okay, here we go. So we have our one fail. It was invoked twice, expected 3 times. So 1, 2, this is actually supposed to be twice. Anyways, because this one should not execute, so that will pass. And I think the problem with this one is parser reset. Come on. There we go. So, there we have it. We have an interesting issue here, is if the handler comes back null, it will throw off the entire read but we're going to need to add it anyway. So I lied. We have one more test to write for this. Is test should not crash if handler is null. Okay, so we're essentially doing our setup action here and this, but we're going to reset and do this, and we'll see what's going on here. So here we're just going to return null, and this should verify 0 times. So this should crash, and that'll be our fail case. Here we are. And then here, if handler is equal to null, to log return. There's our pass. So one more thing we need to do is we drop in our logger, logger equals mock logger, and stream handler logger equals logger, and inject logger. All right, here, where's our should not crash? Right here, we're going to say logger log fatal cast any verify. There we go. So it goes back to our fail case. There we go. Logger log fatal handler not found. This is very bad. There we go. In fact, we got a couple more things to do. We're not quite done with this yet, but at a time, what we need to do is we actually need to write to the stream so that it'll actually write the handler correctly. One more thing, I think we actually might change this parser get handler so that we'll actually have the command ID. So we're actually going to do function get handler, and then we're going to get the ID, and that's going to be an int IO handler. That's what the interface is going to be. And we won't have this one. So, but we're going to change that tomorrow. We're not going to call this a stream parser. We're going to call this the handler lookup, and it's going to be much better. So, pretty small, quick function here. It should execute pretty fast. So, let's do our date, get status, get commit, added tests for stream handling, and get tag 2016 0525 0913. Told you we were late. Git push origin master. Git push origin. This guy. That's it. We're getting closer. We're moving like snails, and getting it closer. We're getting it working on Friday. This took a little bit longer than I thought it would, as it always does. Welcome to the life of a game engineer. But I'm excited. We're getting close. Things are really coming together. Once we get networking in place, we can really start having some fun. So Hope to see you guys tomorrow, and have a great rest.